The Forum at 8 on SAFM.
It is 9 minutes after 8 now. A very good morning indeed and a warm welcome to the Forum at 8 here on SAFM, South Africa's news and information leader. Well, this morning we'll be discussing that controversy surrounding the SD BIOLINE HIV testing kit, which apparently has now been suspended in public health facilities following revelations that the WHO World Health Organization banned its use, saying that in certain localities it gave wrong results. Let's find out then how South Africa is dealing with this particular matter. Let's go straight to my guest on the line, starting with the Health Minister, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. A very good morning to you, Minister. I thank you for your time.
Good morning. Good morning to the listeners.
Thank you. I'm also joined on the line by Vuyo Mkhize. He is speaking on behalf of a company called Pentec. It's a Durban-based company that has been supplying these Korean-made test kits to government for the past 8 years. Mr. Mkhize, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Professor. Good morning to the Minister and good morning to the SAFM listeners.
Thank you very much. We're also just putting a call through now to Mark Haywood, who is the Deputy Chairperson of the South African National AIDS Council. We're calling him now. We're gonna put him on the line just to get his views on this matter. But I see on the line also I have Professor Francois Venter, Wits Reproductive Health and Research Unit. A very good morning to you, Professor Venter. Thank you for your time.
Morning, everyone.
Thank you. Let me start with the Minister. Minister, what is the current position in relation to SD BIOLINE HIV testing kits in public hospitals at the moment?
Let me correct two statements which you made already, which are problematic.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, you used the word ban. WHO has not banned anything. And I even spoke to them last night. They will come there to speak for themselves. They just raised a caution. And I'll explain later what the question is all about. So there's no word ban.
Okay.
Secondly, this test, when they were questioning us, they are not saying it's giving false results. It doesn't give false results at all. The problem they are having with batches elsewhere, not in South Africa, is not false results, it's invalid results, meaning that it shows no result at all. It can't give you false results if there are no results. The batches that they are querying are showing no results. In other words, they just don't react at all. Meaning, nobody can be given any results, even if they came to a testing station, when that that particular test is used. Now, that we said is not happening in South Africa, it's happening elsewhere. Now, the reason that in South Africa, I instructed that we stop using this until the matter is cleared. It's just to err on the side of caution. Because we are dealing with a company here which is sending test kits to South Africa, which were tested by an organization like the NICD, which is very much trusted. And they were found to be having no problem inside South Africa. But elsewhere, the same company is sending batches that shows results. Because the WHO is working in the whole world. They are able to detect that. In South Africa, we detect good results. They detect bad results elsewhere. I said to be on the safe side, to err on the side of caution. Let's stop using this from this company.
Okay.
Because the result seems to be inconsistent. But I want to repeat, this problem, even by the WHO elsewhere, which was picked by WHO elsewhere, does not show false results. It shows invalid. Invalid meaning that it's not reacting. It's showing no result at all.
All right, Minister.
That is very important, Holland.
It is very important, and let's discuss that statement in detail a little bit. Because in December in Kenya, there was a statement in relation to this. Firstly, the statement that came out of Kenya was that the WHO had told them to put it on hold. Told the countries to put on hold the use of BIOLINE. Now, you're saying that it was just a caution. I need to clarify that statement because there they said they were specifically told to put it on hold.
Well, in other words, if they told Kenyans, it means Kenyans were given a badge that is wrong. In our case in South Africa, as I said, the badges that were sent here were tested by the National Institute of Communicable Diseases, NICD, and they were never found to be wrong. Even in June, recently, in June, they tested about 100 kits at random. They were still not found to be wrong. So the communique will be different from country to country.
Also, in relation to the statement I made a bit earlier on about the results, in Kenya, also in December, the statement was that there is a discrepancy in the results that come out. And Dr. Shanaz Sharif, who's the Kenyan health official, was quoted as saying the discrepancy rate was about 50%, and the WHO has asked all the countries to put on hold the use of BIOLINE. And about the discrepancy, he went on to say about 50% of the positives may have been reported as negative and 50% of negatives as positives.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Polani. You are talking about Kenya, not South Africa. And I am saying it is very clear, that one is not in dispute, that this company is sending different batches to different countries. That's the point. That's actually the issue we're dealing with here. That when we say there's a problem, is because they are sending different batches to different countries. Now, in our case, if I may read, can I read the communique that the World Health Organization issued on the 6th of January?
Yes,
I'm reading it verbatim.
Yeah.
Yes. It says the problem, the device gives invalid test results, show a substantial red background color in the test window where results are red. This blurs visibility of the test lines and therefore makes correct interpretation of the results impossible. This means that no test results can be given, rendering the test invalid. You understand that?
I certainly do.
That's very clear now.
I certainly understand that. But here's the problem. Minister, you attribute it to a batch that may have been sent to Kenya versus a batch that would have been sent to South Africa. That is, I suppose, open-ended in a sense, because we could end up with a batch that was meant for Kenya coming here to South Africa.
Precisely. That's why I said it must stop. Precisely, that may happen theoretically, but it has not yet happened. Because let me give you the procedure, Polani. Even before WHO sent this communique, when we launched the HIV campaign in 2010, and we were working with WHO, by the way, and UNAIDS, we were working with all these agencies. When we launched it, our procedure was this. Every company that applies must send their sample to NICD for testing first, before they are even considered. And it's all of them, not only SB BIOLINE. They send it for testing first. And NICD tests it. Once it has gone through and they've been awarded the tender, the NICD will do what is called post-marketing surveillance, meaning while the test is going on, they keep on taking the batches and doing the testing. Now, NICD has been doing that, and they were finding no problems. Then the WHO is doing the test elsewhere and find problems of batches. Because of that, I said, look, let all the batches not be used until we know what we are dealing with. Because the fact that in Kenya they've got that problem and we don't have it doesn't mean that we may not be having it. But the WHO, they themselves, Polani, in the same communique on the 6th of January, they say at present there's no evidence, that is the last paragraph by the way, there's no evidence that will warrant the retesting of individuals for whom an ambiguous or valid positive or negative test results using this test has been obtained. The reason being, Colin, we don't only use this one test, we use two.
Yeah.
If you are tested and the results are positive, we go and take another batch from a different company to confirm it. We call it a confirmatory test. That we've been doing ever since we started this campaign.
I hear that, Minister.
We've not failed to do it.
I hear that, but the issue is this statement was issued on the 6th of January this year. But in this country, we went ahead, issued a tender, even actually started distributing in public facilities this particular test kit. Why did we ignore the communique from the WHO?
That is the part that has angered me. That's why I said they must stop using it. That one is being investigated by me and the Minister of Finance. Why they issued it regardless of this question. This was definitely a question from WHO. They said on their side they won't buy it and use it in other countries. On our side they wrote here that countries must decide, by the way. That part, yes, it should not have happened, Polani. I accept it and I'm angry with it. On Monday, I met with the Minister of Finance personally because this tender was issued by officials from Treasury and Health together. Officials, junior officials in the two departments. And we want the matter to be investigated. But the part I was arguing with you was the science, the technology of this. What actually do we mean by invalid test? It doesn't mean false negative or false positive. It means invalid. It means there's no result. That's the issue I wanted to clear.
No, all right, fine. But let's go to Vuyo Mkhize now, who speaks on behalf of this company, Pantech. Because I want to know from you, Mr. Mkhize, when did you know that there may be questions around the validity of the results used, as a result of this test kit?
Mr. Gwala, I think thanks to the Minister for the clarification that he has given to this matter. I'll go further than the Minister and point out, Mr. Gwala, that when a mistake is made and corrected, but the person making the mistake persists making the mistake, then it ceases to be a mistake, it becomes a lie. And about this, I'm talking about the misreports that kick-started this thing that you are now calling a controversy. Because the moment these reports came out, the clarification that the minister just gave was given to the reporters who were working on the story. But they chose to ignore it. They chose to ignore it in order to persist with this, to create this public panic that there is indeed a controversy. But that issue has been dealt with. I'm not going to go through it.
But there is a controversy, Mr. Mkhize. There is a controversy. There is a controversy. Wait. Let's clarify this point.
Communicate to the reporters who are working on the story that the recall of this product was at the insistence of Pantech and the manufacturer in Korea on the 25th of November 2011. It was not government who moved to recall these problematic kits. It was actually ourselves. And as far as the question of the batches and where they were sent out, let's bear in mind that the World Health Organization inspected the facility, the manufacturing facility in Korea, and therefore all that the WHO said, it relates to every production that went out worldwide. But as the minister has said, none of the batches, because at point of production, you are able to track where this particular batch was distributed to. None of the batches that were sent to South Africa were ever found to be problematic. But when Pantech decided to recall the products that it had sent out then, it was notwithstanding the fact that they had not been specifically, those particular batches had not been found to be problematic in any way. So, but that we did already as a precautionary measure on the 25th of November last year. Just to add to something else that the minister indicated, on that letter that the minister is quoting from the WHO of the 5th of January, there is a paragraph that everybody conveniently seems to be ignoring. And that paragraph, Mr. Gwala, if I may read it, beyond saying, yes, there is a recommendation that says any pending procurement of the product should be cancelled and no new procurements initiated until further notice. Fair enough. But part of the very same board of recommendation says national authorities should use considerable caution in the use of this product and consider conducting additional quality assurance checks of other lots in stock to assure their performance before using them. Now, that is the thing then, Olani, that is the recommendation that, as the minister said,
yeah, but there are two recommendations, Mr. Mkhize. There are two recommendations.
It opens the door for the product to continue being used, subject to such caution being taken.
But there are two recommendations. Why are you ignoring the first one? Any pending procurement should be suspended, and it wasn't suspended in this country.
But, Mr. Gwala, like I'm saying, if there are, similarly, I would ask you, why are you selecting that one recommendation and ignoring the one that clearly provides a regime for the product to continue being used, which is what we're doing? So you are saying, you want to say government is at fault because government...
Yes, I want to say that. I want to say that this should have been suspended immediately when the WHO started saying that there are questions around this particular product. In a country such as ours, where obviously we have a problem around HIV and AIDS, we would rather test people and make sure that people are using a product that everyone has confidence in.
But first, bear in mind what the minister pointed out here, Mr. Gwala. The product does not inform someone who is negative that they are positive or vice versa.
I know.
The product, that particular problem, which was not found in South Africa, that particular problem simply says to someone, we are not able to give you a result, let's retest.
So why are we using a product that gives an invalid result?
Retested, and then only once they are retested can they be given a result.
Yeah, but I'm saying, why should we continue using a product that doesn't give a result?
Because, Polani, the WHO, like I'm saying, let's not selectively quote from that WHO report. In South Africa, the minister has already stated all of these products are tested by the NICD as a rule before there is a problem or there's a question. But in terms of the products that are sent to South Africa, BIOLINE in Korea, and that is backed up by the World Health Organization. The products that have come to South Africa have been tested in Belgium by the Institute for Tropical Medicine in Belgium before they were shipped to South Africa, and they were found to be in order.
So the South African batch was tested was in a different. All right, fine.
And they were found to be 100% okay.
All right, let me bring another guest. Minister, I'm going to come back to you. I know you want to say something. Professor Francois Venter, you've been listening to this. What are your thoughts?
I think that it is disappointing that we undermining what is a very successful HIV testing campaign the minister's championed for the last 2 years by having bad products. I think there is something, it's time to pause and to think about the quality controls of this program as a whole. I think that there are lots of concerns about the quality of the counseling, the quality of the reading of the tests and other tests themselves. We need to have an absolutely bulletproof program that the public has confidence in, and I'm sure the Department of Health agrees with that. I am worried that a test was allowed to proceed when into the tenders and through the process and being allowed into public health facilities when we knew it was problematic, and I think that should be investigated. But I do think we all need to sit down and start thinking hard about how to make this HIV testing program. We're asking every South African to get tested every single year. They need to have absolute confidence in the tests.
And Mark Haywood, I suppose you would say the same as well. From the SANAC's point of view, you've been urging every South African to go there and do the VTC, the voluntary testing and counselling.
Yes, I mean, just to re-emphasize what Dr. Venter said, we want every person in this country to know their HIV status. We want every person voluntarily to come to clinics and to have an HIV test. Having an HIV test is a very important and sometimes a very difficult and traumatic personal decision. And that means that we have a responsibility as the health authorities to make sure that people have the best, the most reliable, the most effective access to HIV tests. So I think that this controversy is unfortunate, but what I would like to say, in addition to what Dr. Venter said, is that I think that the minister has acted very, very responsibly when this matter has come to his attention in withdrawing the use of this particular test. What I do want to say, though, to the public is that this should not be a reason to discourage people from testing for HIV voluntarily. People must continue to come forward to test with the knowledge that, as the minister said, we use 2 rapid tests to ensure that we get a confirmed and an accurate result, and that the tests that are being used out there are reliable and efficacious.
I am worried, though, and I know the minister clarified this. I'm worried, Mark Haywood, about how is it possible that one test kit would have different results in Kenya and different results here in South Africa. In other words, in Kenya, there would be these discrepancies, but here in South Africa, the result would be invalid.
Well, I think that's something that we have to investigate, Kolani. What I would say is the National Institute for Communicable Diseases is a very reliable institution, and I think that we can trust the evaluation that they made of these tests. However, I do agree with you that there's an underlying question, which is why these tests were awarded a tender after the WHO had issued a warning or a ruling on the reliability of those tests. And that the minister has promised to investigate, and I think that we have to let the minister investigate. My position is that we should not be using any test, if anywhere in the world it comes from a company that is showing that there is question marks over its reliability.
All right. The minister wanted to make a quick comment before I take the news headlines at 8:30. Minister?
No. All I was saying is that, Tolani, I accept the fact that if there are discrepancies in any part of the world, just like Mark Haywood is saying, we should err on the side of caution. And that is why it's my personal decision as a minister, immediately when that was brought to my attention, to stop it. Because of what's happening in Kenya, not because of what's happening here in South Africa. And I want to emphasize that because What was going on yesterday is as if there are people there who have been tested wrongly. And I want to assure the public and put my neck on the block that such a result would not have happened, especially that we use confirmatory tests, as Mark Haywood has already said. Because we dealt with scientists on this issue, we're not dealing with it alone.
Sure. And there's just one SMS, I suppose, exactly in relation to what you're saying here, Minister. It's not signed. It's somebody who says, I had a test done on the 6th of July. So what now? In other words, I suppose,
test done on
the 6th, there's somebody who says, I had a test done on the 6th of July. So what now? You know, somebody obviously who's expressing a bit of concern about whether or not the test may be valid.
If he had a test done on the 6th of July, by the way, I also did. I don't know what the 6th of July is. I did my test last week on Wednesday when I launched a campaign in Brett for the farming community. What you are saying is, Dolani, we use 2 tests all the time. If one test shows positive, then we use a different one from another manufacturer. We don't tell the person that you are positive. We use a different test from another manufacturer.
Okay.
If they show different results, we then send to the laboratory, the National Health Laboratory Services. That is what we do. If the test is negative, however, the person then is no longer troubled. So that person who said they did their test on the 6th, it all depends what they were shown. If the results are invalid, which has never happened in South Africa, then he won't be given any results or they'll repeat the test.
Okay.
So in South Africa, we have never had this problem of invalid results. That is the issue that I want to emphasize.
All right. Let me ask all my guests to please...
Kolani, can I just reinforce what the Minister said? I think the answer to the person who sent that SMS is that they can and should trust the result that was given to them on the 6th of July. That's what they need to know. So positive or negative, we have safeguards and checks in place, and they must believe what the nurse told them.
All right. Please, everybody stand by, because I need to take the headlines then, and then also talk to Rob, find out what's happening traffic-wise. We'll open the lines here, 0891 104 208, 0891 104 208. I've got a couple of emails as well at gwalax@sabc.co.za and SMSs at 34701 that I'll all be reading straight after these updates.
The Forum at 8 on SAFM.
All right, remember my guest here on the program this morning, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, our Health Minister. I'm also joined by Mr. Mark Haywood. He is the Deputy Chairperson of the South African National AIDS Council. And I know that Mark Haywood is going to leave at some point, but please do indicate when it's time for you to go, Mark. Also, I'm joined on the line by Professor Francois Venter of the WITS Reproductive Health and Research Unit, as well as Head of HIV/AIDS Clinician Society. Mr. Vuyo Mkhize speaks on behalf of a company called Pantech. This is a Durban-based company that has been supplying the Korean-made test kits to government for the past 8 years. And we're talking about these test kits then, SD BIOLINE HIV testing kits. The Minister has indicated here that the health department, in fact, that he has personally ordered that they be suspended, the use thereof, pending investigations about how there was that particular tender. I'm taking your thoughts then on this issue. A whole lot of emails have come through here. Perhaps I should start with the emails, then go to the lines for my guests. There's Mandla Stole Malahleni, who has written an email to us this morning. He says, our learned leaders seem to be mincing words when communicating to the public. If an organization like the WHO cautions against the procurement of a device which works in such a sensitive area such as HIV and AIDS, why should we go ahead and order millions worth of batches? I'm telling you, the doctor is benefiting from that procurement. We are not kids. Talking about doctor, I'm not sure which doctor in particular. Another one comes from Peter in Onrus, who says, if you want to get to the truth about this, just follow the money. Who benefited? An official and a tenderpreneur. That's according to Peter in Onrus. Another one comes through from Tulani Ellen Gwenya, who says, how on earth did these kits pass SABS and ISO? That's a question there that I would like my guests to respond to. Another one comes from Audrey in Pretoria, who says, big up to the Minister for not dodging the bullet here. It shows responsibility and accountability, which is something his colleagues don't possess. Thank you very much, Minister. That's according to an email from Audrey in Pretoria. Let's quickly hear from Nhlanhla on the line from Springs. Good morning to you, Nhlanhla.
Morning, Koran. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for your call. Go ahead.
I'm all right. Quickly, I just want to say something regarding the HIV testing.
Yeah.
Yes, I just want to disagree with the Minister a little bit here regarding the testing and the confirmatory testing. I'm a biomedical engineer by profession, so I deal with these tests each and every day of my life.
Mm-hmm.
the test that they are using basically was never meant for confirmatory. And if you go to local clinics,
Mm-hmm.
people are being pricked and are being told that they are positive without without even doing any confirmatory test. And even if they do, they use what we call an ELISA test. That on its own is not a confirmatory test as well.
All right.
So
explain something to us, Nhlanhla.
What I think is our community, because this is what the way it matters. I think our community needs to be educated more regarding the HIV testing. The first result that you get was never a confirmatory. There's a lot of things that can influence the HIV results, whether positive or negative. Thank you.
Wait, Nhlanhla, don't go just yet. You talk about a confirmatory result. What exactly is that?
A confirmatory result basically is a test where the one that they use to confirm. Here in South Africa, they will tell you that it's expensive. If you can ask the minister, there's a test which is called the Western blot. But it's not done here in South Africa, I think. They'll tell you that it's expensive. Or they can use what we call PCR viral load testing. At least that one also, it detects the DNA of the virus into the blood. So they can be sure that there's a couple of copies in the blood, because the one that they are using, the ELISA test, is actually testing antibodies. It's actually testing antibodies in the system. And it cannot be used as a confirmatory, like I'm saying. A lot of things can influence the result. Even if you just got an immunization of hepatitis, that result, you might go and test, and it might come back positive. You get my point.
So, in other words, you're saying this SD BIOLINE HIV testing kit anyway was never giving us the true reflection of people's status?
It is never a confirmatory test. Never a confirmatory.
Right.
They can never use that as a confirmatory test.
All right, Nhlanhla, I thank you very much. Minister?
Xolani,
yes.
We have never used BIOLINE as confirmatory test. That's true. It is not used as a confirmatory test. What I'm saying is used as a first line. What I'm saying, Xolani, throughout this campaign, what we do a test using whatever kit, including this BIOLINE. We usually start, the BIOLINE is used as a first line. Once it is positive, then you do what you call confirmatory. Confirmatory is only done if the test seems to be positive. And when you do that confirmatory test, you use a different kit from a different company altogether. So that to show that, because it's very rare for two companies to all go wrong. If the results are discontent, that means are not the same from the two companies. Then you send to the laboratory, National Health Laboratory Services. And I want the speaker as a biotechnician not to confuse listeners. We do PCR in the country. It's internationally recognized. Polymerase chain reaction is one of the best in the country. It's used in the laboratory, especially for infants. So the fact that he's a biotechnician, he mustn't come in and confuse people. I'm sorry. And the other tests which are using Xolani, we don't decide alone. I've said so. When we launched this campaign and what we are doing, UNAIDS was here, the World Organization sits with us, the NICD sits with us. We ask all the people around the world. What we are doing here in South Africa is known around the whole world, is confirmed even by United Nations. We don't just close our eyes and do tests, because this test did not originate in South Africa. So I just want the speaker to be very careful with his education when he confuses people.
Sure. Professor Venter, again, I suppose, it is going to be confusing a little bit hearing what Nhlanhla is saying.
Yes, I think that Nhlanhla is incorrect. And we use these special tests in highly specific and rare situations to confirm HIV. The two-step test the minister described is internationally recognized. They use it in the US, they use it in Switzerland, they use it in South Africa. I think it's important that people don't underestimate how useful these tests are. All tests have all false positive and false negative rates, whether it's a pregnancy test or it's a malaria test. And people need to, that's why we do the two-step test. We try to confirm a serious diagnosis with a completely separate test. It's an internationally recognized standard, and Nhlanhla is incorrect. I think what listeners need to understand also, though, is that the test, there are different forms of the virus across the world, and some of the tests perform less well in different situations. Why we have the NICD confirming these tests, it's incredibly important that all test kits are validated by the NICD. It's an incredibly useful and credible organization that is able to tell us you can use these tests with confidence. And I can tell you that the stuff that we do in South Africa at the moment is at an international standard. This fall down is unfortunate, but it is not the norm. And what the minister has done is the correct thing, which is all the tests as quick as possible.
Sure. Mark, let me bring you in here because there was an SMS about how this went through SABS.
Dr. Fenter, we follow World Health Organization protocols. We work with the Joint United Nations Program on AIDS. People of this country have to be assured that we are running a program that is in accord with the best international standards. Yes, we do have to do more, as Dr. Fenter said, to monitor the day-to-day implementation of this program. We have to continually check quality, seek to improve quality, but people must have confidence that we are doing our best to run a good program, and HIV testing is absolutely essential for every individual in this country.
Yeah, but you see, there was an SMS, though, Mark, that spoke about how this went through SABS, ISO, but also let me read this SMS here from a pharmacist.
Can I answer that one, Colin? Can I answer it?
Sure, Minister, answer it and together with this SMS here from somebody who says, I'm a pharmacist and frequently...
South African...
Minister, let me finish the SMS. Minister, let me finish the SMS. Wait a minute. Let me finish the SMS and then you can answer all. Because there's an SMS as well that says, I'm a pharmacist and frequently receive product recalls from pharmaceutical companies due to quality issues. Why is this product treated as an exception? So answer this SMS together with the others for me, please.
Yes, the first one about South African Bureau of Standards. South African Bureau of Standards doesn't have anything to do with test kits. We do that with condoms. Every condom to be tested must go through South African Bureau of Standards. With test kits, every test kit must go through to the National Institute of Communicable Diseases, NICD, which is what Mark Hewitt kept on repeating. The last call about as a pharmacist is right. He's talking about product recall. That time and again, even with the medicines and all the products we are using, there are times when they are recalled because faults have been discovered in the factory. What he's saying is why when a fault is discovered with this one, he's talking as if it's a new thing in the world. That is what the SMS is saying. That product recall has happened all over the world, and it will keep on happening every time we pick up mistakes. The most important thing, Polani, is to have quality control. And you kept on mentioning Kenya here. The reason that the World Health Organization found mistake in Kenya is because they don't have the quality control we have got. They don't have an NICD like ourselves, which is doing quality control all the time. If it was happening here in South Africa, it would not have gone out. It would have been detected immediately before going out. That is the difference between us and Kenya. That is why the WHO will help in other countries. But in South Africa, they'll find us having helped ourselves already.
But I need to know from Mr. Mkhize the responsibility of the company here. Is it not up to the company to say once there are questions, then perhaps we should go to the department, talk to the department and say what do we do, given what people have identified very clearly on SMS and email about the sensitivity of the area in which this thing happened?
Mr. Kwala,
correct.
Like I had already pointed out, on the 25th of November last year already, that is exactly what we did. We recalled all our products from the market and engaged the National Health Department to launch an investigation to see if indeed they are correct, and they're all submitted to the NICD and they are passed through by the NICD. And even the ones that have been issued as part of the new tender have all been gone through successfully the NICD test. So I will say at this point, as Pentec, we welcome the investigation that the minister has ordered, for no other reason except our appreciation of the fact that, as all the panelists have already stated, this is a highly sensitive area. You require 100% public confidence in whatever product you are using. So any perception of inferiority in terms of product quality is as bad as the reality of such inferiority.
But in terms of process,
we are very confident that the process that the minister has initiated is going to clarify all these questions and put them to bed once and for all.
But Mr. Mkhize, in terms of timelines,
here, and this come through this program as well, the people who have called through, some who have gone through this program, is that as I started off by saying, this thing, there seems to have been a deliberate aim to whip up panic unnecessarily so about this issue. And this is rearing unnecessarily and irrelevant prejudices around the product, around the company, behind the product.
I'm not sure if we agree with that.
That is rolling out this program.
But Mr. Mkhize, I certainly...
That needs to be isolated, and we just need to focus on the issue because it's a serious issue, and all our efforts should really be geared at ensuring that the investigation that the minister has ordered return an unequivocal result that's going to make sure that all South Africans have complete confidence in this program and in the products that are being used therein. One last thing, if I may. As far as the Kenyan study that you're quoting, my only problem with that personally is that none of the documentation one has read from the World Health Organization speaks about that incident, that 50%, that incorrect results, false negatives, false positives. None of the literature from the World WHO speaks about that. So I think we should also be careful to pick in a conversation like this, to pick.
Are you saying we shouldn't use examples? No.
Wait. The minister and Professor Fender.
But these are examples of people who also are dealing with the same kid.
What they say as an authoritative guide.
No, it isn't an authoritative guide, but what it is an example of countries that also have had to deal with this particular kid. They dealt with it as early as December last year.
The WHO has pronounced on that, and all that it says is that in the whole world, the only problem there has ever been is the question of the invalid results.
Yeah, but you see, if your company was worried about the pronouncements by WHO, you would have stopped using it in December last year. So
what I'm saying, Polani, is that the WHO has never cited a single instance where an incorrect result, a false result, was returned.
Yeah, but I'm saying to you that don't use WHO where it suits you, because if WHO and what it says had worried you, you would have stopped using this kit altogether by December, because that's the recommendation. They recommended that pending procurement should be suspended, and that recommendation came through on the 6th of January this year.
If we are in fault, Polani, it's only because we read the WHO report in its entirety, and you choose to only read the first line of that.
You read it in its entirety, but you implemented it half measures.
No.
But if you implemented it entirely, you would have suspended the procurement.
National authorities should use considerable caution in using this product and consider conducting additional quality assurance checks of other lots in stock to assure their performance before using them. The NICD is that additional quality assurance check for South Africa.
All right, let me take a commercial break. I'll take some calls as well and wrap up.
The Forum at 8 on SAFM.
Let's go to Mvusi Epi Show. Good morning, Mvusi.
Bebeto and your guest.
Hi, welcome.
I'm worried that the Minister of Health appears to be overtaken by worrying events that happen involving his department. One was the shortage of ARVs, which he denied initially. Number two, the VCT program that was started nationally is not properly managed. You have some clinics in the Eastern Cape forcing patients to first do HIV tests before they are consulted. You've got this thing now happening under his watch. I mean, I'm worried that we go back to the condom saga, where condoms were taken through SABS only to be found that they were faulty. I want the minister to help me here. Why must we trust him as South Africans that he is committed to the oath of office that he took? Why must the president not fire him for these blunders? I mean, if the minister can answer that in closing up, and also to apologize to South Africans, Polani, because invalid and incorrect results have got a similar impact. You can't say people are getting invalid results and boastfully, as that Mkhize fellow is doing, arrogantly as well, say these are invalid results, as if that doesn't mean nothing to the people.
Right,
I'm very heartbroken, Polani, really.
All right, the minister will respond to you in a minute. Omar in Cape Town. Hello, Omar.
Hi, morning, Kolani, and morning to your guests. I'd just like to say, one of the panelists said that the public should have confidence in their programs of HIV testing. Incidents like this just drop their confidence levels because it's actually saying you've got no, as the bodies who are doing this testing, you have absolutely no consideration for giving people false tests, false results. I mean, consider the impact of telling someone that you are HIV positive and you in actual fact are not. I know the minister says that there's been no such cases, but can he verify that?
All right, that's Omar in Cape Town. Let me ask my guest to wrap up here because I'm completely running out of time. Perhaps I should start by reading some SMSs. Somebody says, with service delivery challenges in remote areas, are people actually getting both tests? Maybe an inquest is necessary here. That's Gio in Cape Town. Given the extent of the HIV problem, why does the government import direct, not through why doesn't the government import direct, not through a third party? Says another SMS. There's also Stera in PE who says, how far are we with finding a cure for AIDS? Another SMS from Durban says, does it mean that this device can say negative when you are positive? Jay in Durban says, if people can mess with education and health, it shows that tenderpreneurs are selfish and they don't care. Sipo says, my son did HIV and AIDS test 2 weeks ago and results says non-reactive. Now, what does this mean? In my view, it is inconclusive. That's Sipo. Perhaps I should just start with the professor. Professor Fanta, just wrap up for me.
I think that the algorithms we're using, the WHO-driven algorithms, are correct. I think that we mustn't lose faith in the program. I think things like this are very unfortunate, and the caller has every right to be angry about, undermining confidence in the public. And I think that we need to just ensure that this doesn't happen again.
Minister?
Yes, Kolani, I think I'm going to call the WHO to come to South Africa. Yes. We've already written them a letter. Firstly, they must come and talk for themselves, and I will bring them before the end of this week to talk for themselves exactly what they meant. And secondly, the work done by the NICD as quality control, I want them to review it specifically about this particular kit, about this particular test kit, so that people must rest assured when we say this quality control, we actually mean it. And lastly, I'm repeating, Kolani. This test, wherever it doesn't work in Kenya, etc., it shows invalid results. It can't give you false negatives or false positives. And we are dead sure that it has never happened in South Africa, and people must have confidence in these test results. That's why some of us continue using it. Using the HIV campaign, using the method that we've been following since 2010. This particular problem will be resolved, yes. I agree with everybody that this tender should not have been issued with this question mark of WHO, even if it happened in Kenya. That's what made me angry, and that's why I said they must stop using it. That part, I'll go to the bottom of it, I promise.
All right. Minister, I really have got to thank you. I've got to thank you all for coming through, unfortunately, completely out of time. I've got to thank Mr. Vuyo Mkhize, who's Pentec spokesperson, and also thank Mark Haywood, who is the Deputy Chairperson of the South African National AIDS Council, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, our Health Minister, as well as Professor Francois Fenta from the WITS Reproductive Health and Research Unit, as well as the head of HIV AIDS Clinicians Society. Thank you as well for the SMSs and listening to our program and calls this morning. I've also got to thank the team who put it all together for us. Mabu Buluga, Misho Shandlale, and Colin Lemawane, those are our producers. Forum at 8 producer Jake Mugoma. Technical producer Mark Prela. Senior producers Lungile Mabaso and Childi Chibase. Chief producer Buzi Lukoto. Executive producers Busi Chane and Oprah Sechie. Olane Gwala will be back again then for you 6 to 9 here on SAFM, South Africa's news and information leader, tomorrow. But for now, it is coming up to 9 o'clock, and that means time for news. But before, we'll hear from Ike Patla, who is with us then between 9 and 12 here on SAFM. For myself, cheers. SAFM. For myself, cheers. SAFM. For myself, cheers. SAFM. For myself, cheers. SAFM. For myself, cheers.